The Latino Effect.
Giving those same opportunities to people that didn't have them.
With the Cuban American impact in this year's politics. Celebrating Juneteenth.
Back in 1865, and we must never forget.
To remember the end of slavery in the U.S. And taking action on the job.
This is what we do, we help people.
How a firefighter pulls off a dangerous save. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Ana Paula Mayorga.
I'm Jason Arrow. Today is Wednesday, June 19, 2024.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
There is a Cuban connection between a South Florida author and an event in our national's capital. Cuban Americans have long played a pivotal role in state politics here in Florida, and a local author is marking a new chapter.
Caplin DC Bureau reporter Cassandra Alonso was at the book signing event and filed the support yesterday.
A little piece of Havana came to Washington, D.C. today in order to celebrate the book launch, The Rise of Cuban Americans in Florida Politics. The author Carlos Ortiz uses his book as a love letter to Cuban Americans and to celebrate the journey that got them to where they are today.
You knock on that door, they're going to let you know.
People listened as Carlos Ortiz described the writings in his book and detailed the knowledge he gained over the years. Carlos was originally from Havana, Cuba, but moved to Miami, Florida when he was a young boy. Ortiz took a liking to politics and went on to excel in it. He decided to use his platform and knowledge to advocate for Latino representation.
At some point, it becomes just natural for you to advocate for you and your people. To me, it's always about opportunities. That's why my parents came to this country, right? To give me a better life, better opportunities. So I see advocating for my people or for anything about opportunities, giving those same opportunities to people that didn't have them.
The Rise of Cuban Americans in Florida Politics is a book that represents the power of resilience. It tells the story of Cuban Americans and their connections to politics while also helping to guide current leaders. People who attended the book launch got to ask Carlos questions and share stories with those similar to them.
It is a very deeply centered book on the Cuban American population and its impact on American society.
Attendees each got their free copy of the book, which Carlos personally signed and left a specialized note. They got treated to hors d'oeuvres and a complimentary cocktail bar as they conversed with others attending. Carlos looks forward and continued to advocate for Latino representation and to continue to connect with readers and peers. If you missed this book launch, don't worry, because you can get your very own copy of the book on Amazon. Reporting from Washington, D.C. for Caplin News, this is Cassandra Alonso.
The Oilers promised to drag the Florida Panthers back to Edmonton before Game 5, and this morning they've made good on that promise. Last night, Edmonton nailed their straight second shorthanded goal to start the game, which had Florida reeling. The Cats went down to 3-0 in the second, but Matthew Tkachuk gave his team life by scoring a goal off a stolen puck. Down 4-1 in the third, Evan Rodriguez would tap in his fourth goal of the series. Amber Brancarina would then come unglued after Tkachuk then assisted an Oliver Ekman-Larsson goal. Unfortunately, the Panthers were unable to tie up the score, and the Oilers would ice it in an empty net goal right after a heroic save from Tkachuk. The final score was Edmonton 5, Panthers 3.
And even though we were able to win tonight and play a pretty good game, I think we got to still find a way to elevate our game. You saw tonight how the Panthers, came back. They played extremely hard, and that's the kind of team that they have. Same with us. So that's why it's such a good battle out there.
The series is now 3-2 in favor of the Panthers as they head up to Canada for Game 6 Friday night.
The U.S. marks a federal holiday for Juneteenth to celebrate freedom from slavery. As Caplin's Christina J. Harris reports, celebrations started over the weekend in Tampa.
Today, we celebrate Juneteenth, which in 2021 was officially recognized as a federal holiday. This day is the celebration that recognizes when slaves in Texas learned of their freedom nearly 2 years after Emancipation Proclamation.
And it's just a reminder of the suffrage of African Americans back in 1865, and we must never forget.
Juneteenth recognizes the end of slavery and is commemorated through family cookouts, musical performances, gatherings, art, and culture. Today is truly a day full of recognition of how far we've overcome.
So with that being said, happy Juneteenth.
Reporting from Tampa, Christina J. Harris, Caplin News.
Boeing is facing a moment of reckoning this morning with both the families and of victims and senators calling to prosecute the company. Senator Richard Blumenthal, who chairs the Senate Permit Subcommittee of Investigation, said in a hearing yesterday with CEO Dave Calhoun that the evidence is near overwhelming. A whistleblower has now also come forward with alleged counts of Boeing hiding substandard parts from the FAA and losing track of them, likely installing them on planes.
A megastar found out of sync with the law, pleading not guilty for DWI charges. Take a look at singer Justin Timberlake's mugshot. He was arrested yesterday in the Hamptons for allegedly driving while intoxicated. The 43-year-old said he only drank one martini, but according to the police, they saw him miss a stop sign and swerve lanes. The former NSYNC member was held in custody but was released later in the day. His court date is set for July 26. This comes as Timberlake is on tour, scheduled to perform in Chicago on Friday.
A firefighter has earned the respect of his colleagues this morning after going above and beyond the call of duty. As a firefighter and ER nurse, Brian Palladino's shifts are always unpredictable, but even he could not expect what would occur on Sunday near Cleveland. As someone began driving off in his ambulance, Palladino jumped into the window of the moving vehicle to stop it. The driver only went a short distance before he managed to turn the wheel, and Brian says he had no second thoughts during the incident.
Panic. I was just like, this guy's trying to steal a very expensive piece of equipment.
Willoughby Hills Chief Officer Robert Gandy called Brian's actions heroic and said that the department...
Oh, it was on the second one.
Yeah.
In one, I guess, IV bag, and he ran out of it and then mixed some other stuff in a bowl and then pulled it out with a syringe and then injected her with it.
After something went horribly wrong. The patient was his wife. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
I debate all day. It's what I do. But there are some things that are undebatable, like your mental health. I was in a dark place when my brother passed away in a car accident. I was depressed in ways I never imagined. I reached out, and my sisters came, my pastor, my therapist. They helped me get through it. I found that the more I spoke up, the healthier my mind became. When you love your mind, you can go so much further. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right, because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
I help our fellows design their paths as creative entrepreneurs. My experiences serving startups, creative businesses, and cultural organizations, and my journey as a queer mixed immigrant with Haitian and Arabic roots, inform the co-creative environment we foster at Radcliffe. We leverage our collective diversity to encourage the building of lifelong personal learning networks and mindsets that stimulate continuous innovation.
A plastic surgeon here in Florida operating on his own wife when something goes horribly wrong. This morning, the plastic surgeon is in police custody.
He turned himself in yesterday near Pensacola as WEAR's Shade Ray reports. The surgeon's wife was undergoing several surgeries at the same time.
In November last year, someone at Restore Plastic Surgery in Gulf Breeze called 911.
A 32-year-old female was undergoing a procedure for a lipo fat transfer
The Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office confirms that woman was Hillary Brown. Sheriff Bob Johnson says she was undergoing several surgeries at the same time. The surgeon was her husband, Dr. Ben Brown.
He's performing surgery on his wife, which is, it's not a violation of Florida law, but it's still, the medical association looks down on that.
We received the newest report from the Sheriff's Office after Dr. Brown turned himself in on Monday. It indicates Hillary Brown was undergoing scar revision, liposuction, eye adjustments, and lip injections when something went wrong. In the report, employees said she was alert and conscious during the first 2 procedures. But Sheriff Johnson says Dr. Brown ran out of lidocaine, a local anesthetic.
In one, IV bag, and he ran out of it and then mixed some other stuff in a bowl and then pulled it out with a syringe and then injected her with it.
The arrest report says Hillary Brown claimed her vision was getting blurry and her face was puffy. But Dr. Brown continued.
And then she began to seize, and then the real problem was she began to seize, and then the nurses in the room wanted to call 911, and he said, no, we'll handle it, and obviously they did not handle it, and she ended up passing away.
The sheriff says it took months to charge the Gulf Breeze doctor because the toxicology results took a long time.
I mean, our detectives are trained in a lot of things, but medical practices they're not trained in. So not only did they have to get the probable cause together, they had to present that not only to the state attorney, but also to a physician like Dr. Oleski, the medical examiner, and say, is this common practice? Is this normal? Is this not normal?
I reached out to Hillary Brown's dad, Marty Ellington. He sent us a statement saying he was happy about the arrest. Ellington said it was a gut punch to hear Dr. Brown posted a $50,000 bond and it was released from jail. He says Hillary was a beautiful soul and the family prays for a larger victory. In Santa Rosa County, Shadi Ray, WEAR News.
For the second straight game, the Marlins and the St. Louis Cardinals headed into extra innings. Fans feared that this would be a repeat of Monday night when the Cardinals scored a run at the top of the 10th inning, but the Marlins would score 2 runs in the bottom of that same inning for a walk-off win. The final score was Cardinals 8, Marlins 9. The Marlins snapped their 6-game losing streak with this victory and faced the Cardinals again in Lone Depot Park tonight.
Speaking of baseball, one of the legends of the game has passed on. Baseball legend Willie Mays died in his California home yesterday. Players and coaches around the MLB paid tribute to Mays on social media. Political leaders such as former President Barack Obama, San Francisco Mayor London Breed, and California Governor Gavin Newsom also paid their respect. Mays was 93. You're watching Newsbreak, and we're coming right back.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantori here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depressing stuff. That's what white people think. You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
You're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Ana Paula Mayorga.
I'm Jason Howard. Get more news anytime at caplin.fiu.edu.